I'm constantly asking myself why people can't understand resources and limits when it comes to building websites. Well, it's easy to understand if you rent a 1,000 square foot store, you can't afford a 1 million square foot store like the local superstore. You know the cost is just too much for your business to handle. While you pay a couple $1,000s for your space, they pay a couple $100,000 for their space. And as a business owner, you completely understand those limits. But for some reason, when it comes to websites, people can't grasp the same concept. No one understands that servers can cost tens of thousands of dollars and data centers can cost millions to operate, or that websites can cost millions to build and millions more every year just to maintain them. Sites like Walmart.com are not built by one person in their spare time. And they're not built using an online site builder like PageBuzz.com. They don't build thousands of pages in 15 minutes when they have extra time at the end of the day. I did a quick search, and Google has over 12 million pages listed for Walmart.com. You want to build to Walmart.com? Okay. If you can build one page every 30 minutes, well, if you never sleep, eat, or take a break, it would take you just over 680 years to build that many pages. Of course, that doesn't include linking them and organizing them into a website. So how do they do it? They have complete departments of people, programmers and designers working around the clock. They outsource jobs and pay contractors to build components and work with system administrators to get everything right. They pay more in 1 hour than you're going to spend on your website the next 10 years. So when you buy a website for $20 a month, you can't expect the same resources. You can't expect to click on a button and have the same features that Walmart's website has when they probably had 20 people working on it and spent $100,000 adding it to their website. It's very common for our customers to expect too much. And many will leave if they can't click a button and have a finished website that looks like they spent $1 million. Well, buddy, that's not going to happen. Not at PageBuzz.com, not at GoDaddy, not at Web.com, not anywhere. Stop looking at companies that have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, hundreds of people working on a website, and compare that with what you have done in your spare time on a limited budget. Honestly, $50,000 is nothing when it comes to designing and building a professional website. If you had one full-time employee working on your website, well, is it hard to understand that it would cost you no less than $50,000 a year just to pay that person? If you have that kind of budget, no problem. You can have the same type of website. But if you don't, and your budget is just $20 a month, that doesn't mean you should give up and not compete online. Having something is better than having nothing. And you should be able to have something great even with a little effort. But you need to understand your limits. Whether financial, technical, or other resources, you're not a billion-dollar company like eBay, Amazon, Walmart. So don't expect a billion-dollar website. If you're a small plumber with one employee, you won't be bidding on building a 2 million square foot facility, because you know that requires hundreds of employees and it's just beyond the scope of what you can do yourself. Just try to remember that when you build your website. There's only so much you can do. You can't compete with the big companies with unlimited budgets. They can always do more in business and online. So rather than trying to compete with them, just do your thing. If you're trying to compare what you do with what they do, and you expect to have the same website, the same look, the same features by spending only a few dollars and a few hours a month, well, you'll never get there. So be mindful of your limits and settle for something more reasonable, something more manageable. Look, if you don't have $250,000 to buy a Ferrari or Rolls Royce, it doesn't mean you can't buy a Ford or a Chevy for $20,000. The Chevy still gets you to work and does everything that you need it to do. And despite the Ferrari or the Rolls being so much better, there's still a huge market for the Fords and Chevys. So your website doesn't have to be the Rolls Royce of websites to bring value to your business. Even with a simple, plain look and a basic information, customers can get everything they need to know about your business. When you sit down and work on your website, don't get frustrated when you can't build a website like YouTube, which incidentally costs Google over $500 million a year to run. Yes, billion. Now I might be wrong. You might be a person that has an extra $1 billion in your wallet to run your website for a year. But if not, then keep in mind that your website is costing you $20 a month and your resources are limited. Just do the best you can with what you have. Don't worry about the design as much as the substance. Having an amazing design means nothing if you don't have the information that people are looking for. So spend your resources where it counts the most. And don't try to match what it took hundreds of other people to do. When people visit your store, they don't expect to have the same products as Walmart. And when they visit your website, they don't expect you to have the same website as Walmart. The internet didn't become popular because companies like Walmart could control everything. It became popular because companies like yours could compete with companies like Walmart. Take a lesson from us. Sell what you have. Sell your strengths, the benefits of doing business with you, and don't try to compete with $1 billion company on their level. We have to compete with companies that can sponsor race car drivers, buy Super Bowl commercials, and spend millions a month running TV commercials. How do we do that? You're looking at it. We appeal to people on a more personal level. Here I am talking to you, selling myself and my product. You know who we are and who you're working with. I can't say the same about MrWeb.com or Mr. GoDaddy or Mr. Google, but I can tell you here at PageBuzz.com, you can talk to me, Mark, the owner of the company. You can get help, support, and confidence that we have your back when you run into any problem with your website. And for our customers, that is so much more powerful than any Super Bowl commercial with half-dressed bikini models. And that's my 2 cents.